Welcome to the CAD Builder video tutorial series. Today, we will be covering blind corner cabinets and how to edit them. We will also be reviewing the differences between editing a framed cabinet versus a frameless cabinet. Let's start by going to our catalogs, open up the CAD Builder catalog, select the Base Cabinets category and then expand the Corner Cabinets section and select FHD Blind Corner Cabinets. We will select the CB36FHLL and go into its wireframe by selecting the Edit Wireframe button on the right. You will notice with the framed cabinet, we get a mid-stile between the opening and the door. This mid-stile has some special parameters that we want to take a look at. On the left side of the wireframe menu, expand the front section, then Frame, next select Blind Style. Under Frame Part Dimensions on the right, there are special parameters referred to as the front side size and the corner side size. For a more in-depth explanation, let's go to the front sections view. Now check the box for Show Hidden Frame Parts at the bottom left of your screen. The midline to the left of the style is the corner side size, and the midline to the right side of the style is the front side size. This is important to understand when editing the blind style. Let's make sure we are in front view, the blind style is selected, and we've enabled the Show Hidden Frame Parts option. Now if you select the left opening, you will see it is currently at 20.5 inches for the opening width and 24 inches total for the cell width. Now let's click on the right door, which should show a cell width of 12 inches currently and a 9-inch opening width. Then down below, in the door size section, our door width should be at 11 5/8 inches. Going back to the wireframe view, once again, we will select the blind style on the left side. On the right, let's change the front side size to 2.5 inches. Now, if we go back to the front layout and select the left side, you can see our 24-inch cell width remained the same. However, our door opening was reduced to 8 inches. Now let's go back and set the door back to 1.5 inches for the front side size. This time we will add 1 inch to the corner side size. Now if we go to the front side view and select our blind opening, we will see the blind style expanded 1 inch to the left, making the opening width 19.5 inches wide. Next, let's add a plain panel to the cabinet by selecting the left side blind opening and select the plain panel in the Type section. Open up the Wireframe Mode button and switch the view to Solid. Some shops will do an inset panel here instead of the side-applied plain panel. In order to change this panel to an inset panel, go to Front Sections, then select Plain Panel on the left menu. Back on the right side under Adjustments, we will change the inset to a value of 3/4 inch. We will go back and switch to Solid mode, and now you can see that it has inset that panel so that it fits nicely. Next, we are going to talk about overall cabinet adjustments. Let's say we want to keep this 24-inch blind opening. We want to keep the 3/4 inch inset panel, but we want to make the overall cabinet 42 inches wide instead of 36. To do this, we will go back to the front sections, click our left opening, and apply fixed width by selecting the box for that option. Now we can select the cabinet SKU on the left side menu and change the overall width to 42 inches. This will resize our cabinet and door opening, but keeping our blind section at 24 inches. Now let's go ahead and switch our construction over to frameless and delete the plain panel on the front of the blind opening. When creating a frameless blind corner, we will most likely need to add a few elements. For example, right now the current hinges we have are floating. Now typically when making a frameless blind corner, we're going to use either a partition or a plain panel with a custom hinge. If we select plain panel to turn it back on, we can see how the hinge snaps to the back of the panel. In the front view, we can click on the center line separating the plain panel and the door, and then select the Add Full Height Partition option on the right. Now go back to the wireframe and we can see how the partition was added, and the hinge is now attached to the partition rather than the panel. Maybe we would like to have this partition only extend 3 inches back from the front of the cabinet. To do this, we can go to the inside section, select the partition, and in the position box on the right, we will select Align to Front in the Depth Orientation option. Now in the Adjustments section below, we will set the front adjustment to 3 inches. The last thing we will need to do is adjust our shelf settings so that the shelf is not colliding with the partition. Click the shelf on the left, then go to the front adjustments and set this value to 3.5 inches. Now you will notice, because we didn't remove our shelf prior to adding the partition, the shelf still splits that partition into 2 pieces. There are 2 ways to fix this. One, by removing everything and restarting, first by deleting our shelf and then adding the partition. Or alternatively, we can do a simple fix by adjusting the bottom section of the partition to the same settings as we set for the top. This will now make the partition all one piece. If you add the shelf after you have created the partition, the shelf will stop where the partition starts. Now you should have a much better understanding of how the blind corner cabinets work, both for framed and frameless versions, as well as how to change them according to your shop's preferences. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. To view additional video tutorials, please visit www.cabbuildersoftware.com/training.